The strange disappearances. There are stories in life that, just by mentioning their names, we can feel a chill running down our spines, like ghosts lurking in the dark. Strange disappearances, vanishing acts with no trace, always make people frown, ponder, and find no answer. These are not just events, they are mysteries that have never been solved, questions that may forever linger in the air, unanswered by anyone capable of unraveling them. These disappearances often come with bizarre details that cannot be explained by reason. People might find a car parked by the roadside, its door left open, but there is not a soul in sight. Personal belongings of the missing person are still there, as if they just stepped away for a moment. But when you look again, they're gone, as if they've vanished into thin air. And not everyone can accept a simple explanation that they ran away or were involved in an accident. Because in every strange disappearance, there's always something wrong, a small detail that we might overlook, but is actually the key to solving the mystery. The question we all ask is, how could a person just disappear like that? And could there be some force beyond our understanding at play with their fate? Could there be forces at work behind these disappearances, forces that we cannot see? Or is it simply a series of coincidental events that science has yet to explain? We don't know, and perhaps we will never know. But it is precisely this mystery that makes us even more curious, that turns every disappearance story into an even more captivating one. The story of those who went missing is not just a terrifying tale, it's a journey into the darkest corners of the imagination. Their loved ones will never stop searching, will never give up hope. And though many years may pass, and their traces may be erased by time, one thing remains unchanged. These stories will never disappear. They continue to haunt, continue to draw the attention of those who dare face the mysteries and harsh truths. Strange disappearances, whether they are true stories or mere products of human imagination, will always be a part of the invisible fears that each of us carries throughout our lives. And every time we hear a disappearance story, it's not just the eerie details that stand out, but the invisible void it leaves behind, like a question that will never be answered. It is this void that makes these disappearances so strange and haunting.
Two, strange circumstances surrounding disappearances. What makes certain disappearances truly unsettling are the strange, unexplainable circumstances that often accompany them. These cases don't just involve people vanishing into thin air. They come with eerie details, unusual patterns, and inexplicable anomalies that seem to defy logic and reason. It's as if these disappearances are surrounded by an invisible force, something we can't quite put our finger on, but that makes the entire situation feel all the more unsettling. Unusual last moments. One of the most common themes in these cases is the final moments of the missing person. Sometimes they're seen at a location, leaving behind a trail that abruptly ends. People close to them may recall ordinary conversations or plans made for the future, only to have those moments abruptly cut off by their disappearance. Take, for example, the case of a person seen walking into a crowded place, then simply never being seen again. No one noticed anything strange at the time. Yet later, when retracing the steps, it becomes apparent that something was off. There's always a sense that something doesn't align, a detail that didn't seem significant at the moment, but later becomes a haunting question mark. Items left behind. Another eerie feature of these strange disappearances are the belongings left behind. It's as if the missing person didn't mean to leave, but was suddenly pulled away. A suitcase packed and ready to go, a phone left behind with a text message half composed, a jacket neatly folded on a bench. These personal items tell a story of suddenness, as though the person had to leave in a hurry. There are even cases where a car is left parked in a random spot, still running, with keys in the ignition, as though the person was simply interrupted by something or someone unseen. Unexplained sightings or witness testimonies. Sometimes, witnesses claim to have seen something that seems to confirm a story, but only adds to the mystery. Some report seeing the missing person in a location they couldn't have possibly reached, or in a situation that doesn't align with what's known about them. A common case involves people who seemingly appear to be in one place, only for investigators to find no trace of them, leading to the unsettling thought that they were perhaps never in that place at all. These sightings only fuel the mystery, offering no real answers, only more questions. Signs of struggle or no trace. In many missing persons cases, there is either a disturbing sign of struggle, a torn piece of clothing, broken objects, or even a visible struggle on the ground, or, on the other hand, there's absolutely no sign of anything abnormal. Both scenarios raise chilling questions. A sign of struggle could indicate foul play, but without a body or conclusive evidence, the trail ends in ambiguity. On the flip side, a disappearance with no trace, no footprints, no sign of distress or struggle becomes even more unnerving. It's almost as if the person simply ceased to exist. Weather or environmental anomalies. In some disappearances, the weather or surrounding environment can add to the mystery. Storms might appear out of nowhere, or unusual patterns like magnetic anomalies, strange fog, or extreme temperatures may complicate search efforts. There have even been stories where the atmosphere itself seemed to warp around the area of the disappearance, making it more difficult to track, almost as if nature itself had turned against the searchers. These conditions can cause people to feel disoriented or lost, adding to the overall strange feeling surrounding the case. Inconsistent reports and conflicting theories. With mysterious disappearances, inconsistencies and conflicting reports often emerge, making it nearly impossible to piece together a clear picture. Different witnesses may provide conflicting accounts of what they saw, or the police might uncover information that seems to contradict earlier statements. These discrepancies create confusion, making it even harder to determine the truth. In many of these cases, authorities are often left chasing false leads, while the true answer remains elusive. The intrigue of unsolvable cases. What all of these strange circumstances have in common is that they create an atmosphere of intrigue and mystery that is nearly impossible to resolve. These events, whether or not they have supernatural or logical explanations, continue to haunt both the victims' families and anyone who follows the cases. In a way, they challenge our understanding of reality. The lack of answers, the lack of closure, keeps these stories alive in the public imagination, making them endlessly compelling. Each strange disappearance is a puzzle, with pieces that may never fit perfectly. But it's precisely this air of uncertainty, these unsettling details, that make these cases so captivating. The eerie, unexplainable nature of the situation surrounding them leaves a lasting impression on those who hear the stories, pushing the boundaries of what we believe is possible.
Three, consequences and impact on families and communities. The repercussions of a strange disappearance extend far beyond the individual who has vanished. The impact reverberates through the lives of their families and the communities they belong to, creating emotional, psychological, and social turmoil. These disappearances disrupt the normalcy of life, leaving behind a trail of sorrow, fear, and confusion that can last for years. Emotional and psychological toll on families. The family members of a missing person are often left in a state of profound uncertainty.
The emotional burden they carry is overwhelming, a constant sense of longing, hope, and despair. The pain of not knowing what happened to their loved one is excruciating, and it often leads to a state of limbo where no closure is ever reached. This emotional roller coaster is marked by the painful back and forth between hope and hopelessness. On one hand, family members may hold out hope that their loved one is still alive and will return. On the other hand, the harsh reality of no answers can turn hope into a feeling of abandonment, making it even harder to move forward. The trauma of losing a loved one, particularly under such mysterious circumstances, can also lead to psychological health issues. Anxiety, depression, and post-traumatic stress disorder, otherwise known as PTSD, are common among those affected. The constant worry, the obsessive thoughts of what might have happened, and the inability to heal because the disappearance remains unsolved can take a heavy toll on families. Families often find themselves in a constant state of emotional distress, waiting for answers that may never come. The strain on relationships. In addition to the personal toll on the family, these disappearances can also strain relationships within families and between friends. The stress of dealing with an unresolved mystery can lead to tension, blame, and misunderstanding. Family members may argue over the best course of action or how to handle the situation. The weight of the unknown can fracture the bonds between loved ones as each person deals with the trauma in their own way. This can lead to feelings of isolation, with some family members retreating into themselves, while others may become overly fixated on the search for answers. Community impact. The effects of a missing person case often spread to the broader community, especially when the disappearance happens in a small town or close-knit area. The initial shock and concern turn into an ongoing collective fear. People start to question their safety, wondering if they too could disappear without a trace. The sense of security that people once had is shaken, and a fear of the unknown takes hold. Communities often rally together in the search for the missing person, organizing volunteer search parties, spreading awareness through social media, and holding vigils. While this collective action can help bring people together, it can also add an additional layer of tension and stress. The community becomes invested in the case, and with every new clue or dead end, the collective sense of frustration grows. People who are normally friendly may start to become suspicious of each other, and there can even be instances of false accusations or distrust as the pressure to find answers intensifies. Social and media sensitivity. In today's digital age, social media and news outlets play a powerful role in amplifying the effects of a disappearance. News spreads quickly, and public interest in the case often snowballs, leading to widespread attention. While this can be a double-edged sword, as it may help gather information or encourage tips, it can also become an overwhelming force for the family. The relentless scrutiny from the public can be painful, and the need to remain in the public eye can lead to families feeling exploited or used for media coverage. At times, the media coverage can escalate the emotional pain for the family, as every new report or rumor might reopen wounds that are difficult to heal. The constant visibility of the case can make it harder for the family to find peace because their personal trauma becomes the subject of public discussion. Additionally, social media platforms can give rise to conspiracy theories or wild speculation, further complicating the situation and often misdirecting resources or leads in the search for the missing person. The ongoing search and the need for closure. The long-term effect of a disappearance is often the lack of closure. Families and communities remain trapped in a cycle of uncertainty with no resolution to their suffering. The inability to lay a loved one to rest, to have the certainty of knowing what happened, is something that can haunt individuals and groups for years. This lack of closure can result in a sense of emotional paralysis, where the families and even the community can't fully move on because they never get the answers they need. The endless search without a clear outcome can cause people to constantly revisit the past, reliving every detail and wondering if there was something they missed. This cycle of uncertainty and the continuous hope for answers often keeps families and communities in a state of emotional exhaustion. Wider social implications. On a larger scale, repeated or high-profile disappearances can influence how society views safety, the justice system, and the effectiveness of law enforcement. People may begin to feel that they're not protected or that the system fails to solve such cases. This can lead to a loss of faith in authorities, further contributing to the feeling of isolation and fear in communities. Furthermore, the growing number of unresolved disappearances can spark societal debates on issues like mental health, human trafficking, crime prevention, and the need for more effective investigative measures. These discussions can lead to calls for reform and greater attention to missing person cases, highlighting the need for better resources and support systems for the families involved. Conclusion. Ultimately, the consequences of a disappearance extend far beyond the individual who has vanished. It creates a ripple effect, profoundly affecting the emotional, social, and psychological well-being of those left behind. The search for answers becomes a collective burden, one that families, friends, and entire communities must carry, often without the satisfaction of resolution. These unresolved disappearances leave an indelible mark on the lives of those who are left behind, and the journey to find closure is long and in many cases never fully achieved.